Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be on this planet of ours. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody here to our program tonight. Please, folks, please prepare now for the Pledge of Allegiance and the United States National Anthem, as we've been doing for quite some time now. Everybody, please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Oh, yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it.
Let them know it. Let them know it. This, folks, is the United States Army Barbershop Quartet Convention performing our nation's national anthem in 2015 at the Barbershop Quartet Convention there. The host of the Barbershop Quartet Convention gave us the Pledge of Allegiance, and we appreciate this. We greatly appreciate this. Folks, this, folks, is the nation's finest. And I want to thank all of our military nationwide and overseas for all that they do. I want to thank our allied armed forces, wherever they might be in harm's way. God bless you all, U.S. and our allies, wherever you might be, that you might be blessed to be in God's hands, and that you might be blessed to return home to your families after your tours of duty end. God bless you. Thank you for your service. And please, please, folks, thank them for their service when you see a member of the armed forces, wherever you are, in uniform. God bless you all, and thank you for your service. Folks, we have a lot to talk about tonight, as we usually do. Folks, first off, we've talked about earthquakes a lot on this channel, and we always will. First off, look at what's happened in Oklahoma. Okay? This is Oklahoma today. Okay? The USGS does not show all of this. Okay? USGS rarely shows everything that's going on. You see a 3.0 there. A 3.0 magnitude earthquake. Now, while most of these earthquakes in Oklahoma, Nebraska, Kansas, and even Texas, most of those are related to fracking operations, oil and gas extrusion operations out of the crust of the earth. That's what they are. But not all of them. Not all of them. Some of them are related to earthquake fault activity. Earthquake fault activity. And that's where I think this 3.0 came from. Earthquake fault activity. Yes, there are some oil and gas pumping operations going on. Pumps and jacks all over Oklahoma. However, this I think is probably closer to an earthquake fault in Oklahoma. With that being said, I want to talk about a lot of earthquakes literally all over this land of ours, all over the world. For that, again, I'm going to the USGS map. I hate this. I literally hate this organization. And I shouldn't even be saying that. I can't stand this organization. They suck. They suck. First off, I'm going to go down south and talk about this earthquake here. Okay? This is the largest of the earthquakes around here in the world. Okay? This is an earthquake in Papua New Guinea today. It was a 6.3 earthquake. I believe this may be as close to a 6.5 earthquake as they come. Okay? It's on land, guys. It is on land. Papua New Guinea, for the most part, is in a tropical forested area. Okay? A huge forested area. Okay? Now, while that's said, the USGS map has this as 23 kilometers north-northeast of Condrian, Papua New Guinea. Okay? Now, while we can't trust USGS to give us exact locations for anything, 99% of the time they are wrong. This earthquake should be in the vicinity of Condrian, Papua New Guinea. Okay? Now, this is where I think it is. Okay? But you don't see any city there, do you? You see cloud cover. Cloud cover. Now, folks, this is typically what we see all over Papua New Guinea. Okay? Let's look at this. Over here, there are some houses. There are some houses in this area, and as you can see, there are some roads as well. Okay? Now, this was a very, very strong earthquake. Anything 6.0 to 6.9 are considered to be very strong earthquakes. If there's anyone near here, they felt this earthquake. This was also a shallow earthquake, a relatively shallow earthquake, 55 kilometers deep. 55 kilometers deep. Okay? Now, I'm going to take this slide down and come back to it. I want to show you what exactly happened here. Okay? I think it's important to understand what is going on. This, folks, is a helioplot. This is what they call a helioplot. And this helioplot came from the Philippines, which is just north of Papua New Guinea. North and west of Papua New Guinea. This is in Davao, Philippines. This is up on Mindanao Island, Philippines. They've had many quakes there. This particular helioplot says it all. This literally says it all. Let's look into what this helioplot is telling us. Okay, let me enlarge this so you can properly see it. Okay, Look how many primary waves were associated with this earthquake. Each of these long seismic waves here, they're called P waves, primary waves. Look how many of them were here. Look at all these primary waves that hit here in Papua New Guinea today. That's a heck of a lot. Okay? Now, some of my friends, some of my associates believe that this may have been a full plate rupture. I don't believe that's the case. I don't believe it was a full plate rupture. However, as you can see, this is a very strong earthquake. You can see that this earthquake lasted off and on for almost 45 minutes. From the start of this earthquake, it lasted some 45 minutes. Each line here is worth 1 hour. Each line here represents 1 hour. So you can see the length of this shaking lasted a very long time. Okay? This was a very strong earthquake. 6.3 strong earthquake. Okay? If anybody was anywhere near this earthquake in Papua New Guinea, their homes were probably destroyed. Why do I say that? Because people in Papua New Guinea basically live on the edge of civilization. This is what they call a third world country. Some of them live in adobe huts. Others live literally in cardboard or wood shacks, except in the major cities. Then it's better than that. But anyone near this earthquake today suffered. We don't have an inkling right now how many people felt this quake. As that information comes in, we will make it available to those of you who are interested. But this is the largest earthquake today. And I can show you other helioplots here, and maybe that's what I should do. Let's take a look at 2 others that I picked up. This one is seen, let's see. This one is seen from Taiwan. From Taiwan. Okay, this one says, and this is just a little bit better. Okay, it does not show that huge length of time as the one that is in the Philippines, because the Philippines is closer. That's one of the reasons a Philippine earthquake helioplot showed it lasting a lot longer. This one is over northeast of there in Taiwan, and by some thinking, this may be a better helioplot to look at. But still, look at how long this quake lasted. Okay? Now, when I pulled this helioplot, it had just barely been 3 hours since this earthquake hit. We will not know exactly how strong this earthquake was for at least another 10 to 15 hours. And we will keep you informed tomorrow about how strong we think this earthquake was. I'm going to monitor it until I go to bed tonight. But I wanted to show you this. This is a lot of information here. Now, I have one other location I'm going to show you here. Okay? That's Taiwan. Oh, shoot. No, I don't. The other location I don't have, it didn't make it to my software today. Doggone it. All right, let's go from here and talk about another earthquake. Okay? Let's leave this earthquake here in Papua New Guinea. There have been several other earthquakes we need to talk about tonight. Okay? Let's look at this USGS map again. Okay, let's back out of here. Okay, it hit land. This is a very strong earthquake here, but it's not the only earthquake that hit here. We go over here into Indonesia, off the coast of Sumatra again. We had one here further south the other day. This is on the earthquake fault here. On the earthquake fault. This is a large 5.0 earthquake. It's far enough away from any inhabited islands that I do not think it made any kind of difference. If anybody felt it, it was on the other tiny islands here if people were there. The main island of Sumatra was far enough away where they may have felt tiny shaking, because the ocean waters absorb the shaking. The ocean waters absorb the seismic energy. And as you can see, here in Indonesia, they don't show too many other earthquakes, do they? Because the USGS lies. They lie by omission. Okay? If any of you have any psychological understanding, lies of omission are worse, almost worse than if somebody stood in front of you and lied to your face. In this case, it is that way. Okay? Because this involves people's lives. Seismic energy affects people's lives, so them omitting it is lying to us. Okay? Now, this other earthquake over in northern Philippines. This is north of Luzon Island, Philippines. It's a 4.5 magnitude earthquake. Now, while that might seem a little bit large, it's a moderate earthquake. But again, look where it's located. Okay? It's out in the ocean. This was a moderate earthquake. If anybody's living on any one of these small islands, yes, they might have felt something. But being it's a moderate earthquake, they might have felt just a tiny bit of shaking, and that's just about all. Okay? Let's go north. Over here, just south of Honshu, Japan, we have another moderate 4.6 here. This is only 82 kilometers deep. This is another minor, or not a minor, but a moderate earthquake. It's not very deep, very shallow. This is out in the Izu Islands of Japan. Again, the seismic energy was absorbed by the ocean waters. Going up here to Russia, just off the coast of southern Kamchatka Peninsula. This, folks, is another 5.1 magnitude earthquake, a large earthquake here. Notice where it's located, right on top of the fault line. Literally right on top of the fault line. We've seen large earthquakes down in Indonesia. We've seen large earthquakes over here in the South Pacific, that they are not showing any of them down here in Tonga or Vanuatu or the Solomon Islands or New Zealand. They're not showing anything, and that in and of itself is a lie, because there are earthquakes going on down there. But this one here in particular is also important. This 5.1 earthquake. I've got 6 on the mind. This 5.1 earthquake is going to come over here into the Aleutian Islands. We've seen it happen. This is not the first large earthquake that has hit here near Kamchatka Peninsula. This is going up into the Aleutian Islands. It's going to go up here into Alaska. If it comes up in here to Alaska, it would not surprise me. If it goes over here into the Gulf of Alaska, that would not surprise me either. But this seismic energy is going to end up here. And whether it continues to deposit itself here in the Gulf of Alaska or over here in Alaska, at some point in time, some of that seismic energy is going to continue southeast. And I'm going to talk about that in just a few minutes. Okay? It's happening. It is happening. Okay? Just briefly. Just very briefly. You see these earthquakes over in Denali National Park. Okay? Denali National Park. Guys, there is one of the the tallest mountain in North America here. Okay? It's getting hit. This is a 1.7 tremor. This is a 2.3 magnitude earthquake. This right here just north of it is a 1.4 earthquake. And none of these earthquakes are properly located by USGS because, again, USGS can never tell the truth. It's impossible, I found, for USGS to totally tell the truth. They're not labeling any of these as in Denali National Park. That's a lie. That in and of itself is a lie. Okay? It's incredible what they do and don't do. Okay? Over here in central Alaska, remember me telling you about an earthquake here yesterday they said was in North Alaska? This is not in North Alaska. This is central Alaska. This is a 1.7 here. Further west, over here in what I call the hand of Alaska, just across the water from Russia. Just across the water from Russia. This is a 3.3 magnitude earthquake, a small earthquake. We do occasionally see small to moderate earthquakes here. Not too much of a surprise. However, over here is something different. See all this gray area? This is called the Alaska tundra. The Alaska tundra of Alaska. It's also kind of hilly there, kind of mountainous, if you will. This earthquake is in the Arctic Circle area of Alaska. This is a 2.8 magnitude earthquake near Arctic Village, 85 miles northeast of Arctic Village. If it was any closer to the North Sea up here, the northern borders of Alaska, would be near Kattegat, Alaska. We are watching this area for a large earthquake. The last time we had a 5.0 earthquake in this area was 2 days before the 7.1 magnitude Ridgecrest earthquake. 2 days before the magnitude 7.1 earthquake. Now, why am I referring to that? Why do you think I'm referring to that one? Because, folks, right before that earthquake hit in Ridgecrest, 24 hours before that, we had a 6.3 magnitude earthquake just south of Queen Charlotte Island, British Columbia. That's 6.3. So some of that energy came out of Alaska down the fault zone. You can see this fault zone coming out of Alaska here. Okay? You can see it. Okay? You can see it as some of this energy trickles out of Alaska now. Right here. I just illuminated this 2.3 earthquake here. This is near Juneau, or actually not even Juneau, Yakutak, Alaska. A 2.3 minor earthquake here. So we do see energy coming out of the central Alaska area, coming down the southwestern coast of North America here. And you can see the fault line as that energy dips down. And energy does drip down. Okay? It dripped down here just off the coast of Vancouver Island today. But, as USGS does, rarely will they ever tell us the truth. This is one of the things that I get so infuriated at, because this agency can never, ever tell the truth about almost anything. Here you see a 4.5 earthquake off of Port Alice, Alaska today. A 4.5 magnitude earthquake off of northwestern Alaska today. Okay, why are we so concerned about this? Because, folks, this is the third such earthquake we have seen in this same area during the past week. The third same earthquake that we've seen in this area during the past week. Why am I concerned about that? Can anybody tell me why we should all be concerned about this? Folks, why is it? Why is it? We are all looking at a major earthquake hitting in the Cascadia subduction zone. In the Cascadia subduction zone. The red line to the right of this earthquake is the Cascadia subduction zone. Just down and to the left of this earthquake, that is the Juan de Fuca fault. So actually, this earthquake is closer to the Juan de Fuca fault. Okay? We're concerning ourselves right now to a major earthquake hitting in the Cascadia subduction zone region. Hitting in the Cascadia subduction zone region. Okay? Now, where you see this earthquake, we are expecting the Cascadia megathrust earthquake to happen a little bit south and east of this location, either on the Cascadia subduction zone or just to the west of it, near the Juan de Fuca fault. That's where we believe this 9.0, 10.0 magnitude earthquake will occur. We have talked about this earthquake for quite some time now, because it will devastate this entire region all the way up into Alaska, all the way up and down the entire Canadian coast, and all the way down Washington, Oregon, California, all the way down into Mexico, into northern Mexico. Now, why is that the case? Why do you think it will be devastating all the way down into Mexico? I'm going to show you why in just a second. Let's get away from this map. Okay? We need to concern ourselves with this entire region. Okay? The Cascadia subduction zone reaches from Queen Charlotte Island all the way down into Northern California. Queen Charlotte Island all the way down into California. Okay? Let's look at that right here. Okay, you see exactly where I was talking about, where the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake is going to hit, up here in the northern region off the western shore of Seattle here and Vancouver Island. Okay, the Cascadia subduction zone reaches down here to the south. Okay, it connects with two other fault zones. The fault zone to the left stretches from the coastline of Northern California out into the Pacific Ocean. This is called the Gorda Escarpment. For those of you that have not seen this program before, this is the Gorda Escarpment. But the Gorda Escarpment and the Cascadia subduction zone also connect with another fault. It's called the San Andreas Fault. This is the northern end of the San Andreas Fault. This area where the Cascadia subduction zone and the Gorda Escarpment and the San Andreas Fault meet is called the Triple Junction. The Triple Junction. Okay? We've had many an earthquake down here as well during the past 6 months. As you can see over here to the east, we have a 2.6 magnitude earthquake here. This is near Hayfork, California. Do you know where this is and why we had this earthquake? This is what they call the Mendocino Ridge that stretches from the shoreline out east into California. The Mendocino Ridge, the Mendocino Fault Zone. That's why this 2.6 hit in Hayfork, California. Okay? But we take the San Andreas Fault here. Okay? The San Andreas Fault goes let me stretch this out a bit. Okay? We see the San Andreas Fault go all the way through California, and it goes inland quite a ways, doesn't it? By the time it reaches the Los Angeles area, it is out east of Los Angeles. But we see it coming here into Imperial Valley, California. It stretches all the way down the east side of the Salton Sea here. This is the inward ocean, literally, of the world. It's called the Salton Sea. Okay? The San Andreas Fault literally goes underneath the Salton Sea right here. Literally right here. This is Bombay Beach. I've shown you seismograms of Bombay Beach in the past. We've had 3.5s to 4.5 earthquakes. Multiple 3.5 to 4.5 earthquakes here every day. Literally every day they hit. USGS does not report them, do they? They're not on this map, are they? Again, USGS lies. By not including them, they lie. There are all kinds of earthquakes down here in the Imperial Valley south of the Salton Sea. But you don't see them here, do you? Because USGS omits them. There are well over 150 minor tremors and earthquakes hitting this region every day. Every day. The San Andreas Fault goes underneath the Salton Sea, and it comes out just south of the Salton Sea right here, near Nyland, California, and Calipatria, California. I've shown you seismograms coming from the seismograph at Calipatria before. sometimes as many as 150 earthquakes detailed on just that one seismogram alone. There's at least 5 or 6 other seismographs all over this area. And we've shown you some of them every time we talk about this every week. One of those seismographs is over here off the northeast shore of the Salton Sea. They in fact call it North Shore Salton Sea seismograph. There are fewer earthquakes at this location than anywhere else, but that's because this is so far north. Okay? They do get seismic energy here, but it's not usually as bad as further south. Over on the western side of the Salton Sea, right here, this is called Salton City. We see earthquakes here as well. Mild earthquakes, but we still see seismic energy affecting this area here. But this is a different fault. You see this line stretching down the western side of the Salton Sea? This is the San Jacinto Fault Zone. The San Jacinto Fault Zone. That's why we see earthquakes here. That San Jacinto Fault Zone runs all the way down here to the southern end of the Salton Sea, while the San Andreas Fault goes down here, comes out from underneath the Salton Sea, goes a little bit west, then it proceeds south all the way down into Mexico, into northern Mexico here. Let me back this out. You can see the fault zone stretching into northern Mexico here too, all the way down into the Gulf of California. And it stretches all the way down through the Gulf of California. By the way, they're not showing any earthquakes down here, but there are earthquakes down here that they're not telling us about. Okay? But the San Andreas Fault goes all the way down here into southern Mexico area. Okay? Do you understand what we're talking about? When we get the Cascadia megathrust earthquake, it's going to trigger the San Andreas Fault. It will trigger the San Andreas Fault. And that fault zone will trigger energy all the way down here into northern Mexico. It will trigger energy all the way down here into northern Mexico at least. At least. Okay? You see an earthquake down here just off the coast of San Diego? We will come back to that, because there's another large earthquake down here off the coast of southern Mexico that we want to talk about today. Okay? Right here. This blob right here, this circle here, details an earthquake in southern Mexico. This was a large earthquake. It was a 5.3 earthquake. USGS has detailed this down, downgraded it to a 5.2. This was a 5.3 earthquake. This is only 10 kilometers deep, 6.2 miles deep, a shallow earthquake. A shallow earthquake. Now, while USGS does not show much of anything going on here, they never will get close enough to show the villages, the towns, the cities where this earthquake affected. It did affect a lot of people today. This was a large earthquake that affected a lot of people today. It was northeast of a town called Papanoa, Mexico. Papanoa, Mexico. Now, let me show you some slides of Papanoa, Mexico. This is important. This is the beach area of southern Mexico, just west of Papaanoa. This area is actually called Papaanoa Beach because there's a highway running from Papaanoa down here to the beach. Okay? Not all, but more. Here is one of the hotels near Papaanoa, Mexico, Zihuatanejo. You see how beautiful this hotel is? There are many hotels just like this all over this area. Literally all over this area. And this right here. This is the area of Papaanoa, Mexico. I wanted to show you where this earthquake hit. It hit just east of here. You see a town is here. A town is here. A major highway running the coast of southern Mexico is here. To the north, up at the top here, you see a hospital here. South of that is a gas station. You see restaurants here. You don't see all of the town streets here, but this will give you a good idea what kind of town this is. This town is probably decimated, not decimated, but damaged heavily by this earthquake. There was a shopping complex called Mercado de Papaanoa here. A shopping center like a mall, an outdoor mall here. Mercado de Papaanoa. Hotel La Serena. Hotel El La Serena. To the south, you see Papaanoa Wings. Yes, wings, folks. There's a chicken restaurant there. South is a small town called Coyaquillas. South of there is called Asadero Los Primos. It's a really nice town, guys. This whole area was affected by this earthquake. Okay? I wanted to show you this because civilization, people live in these areas. And when these earthquakes hit, people are affected. People are affected. Now, I want to go back to that map again. Why am I going back? I want you to see what's going on here. Okay? You don't really see much here because USGS will only zoom in so far. There is the town that I'm speaking about, Papaanoa, Mexico. See that roadway that leaves Papaanoa here, goes all the way to the beach? Guess what, guys? That is the access road to the beach where I showed you the beach, the waves, the hotels that I just showed you, all over this area. This is Papaanoa, Mexico. There are resort areas from here on north all the way to Puerto Vallarta. All the way north up here to Puerto Vallarta. And they're not showing any earthquakes here, are they? Heaven forbid they're honest with us. Guess what, folks? There are plenty of earthquakes here. Most of these earthquakes are 3s and 4s. But once it gets up here to near Puerto Vallarta, which is right here, these earthquakes are 4.5, 4.6, 4.3. And offshore from the resort areas right in here are 4.5 and 4.3 earthquakes. Quite a few of them. All the way down into southern Mexico here. There's about 60 earthquakes up and down this entire coast. USGS shows none. There are a lot of earthquakes all over here in Central America. USGS shows none. Down here in South America again, for the second day in a row, USGS is showing no earthquakes. This is a lie. There are 25 to 30 earthquakes here in South America. There are earthquakes over here in Europe that they're not telling us about. They're showing us an earthquake right over here in Greece, off the southwest side of the big country of Greece. I should say the large country of Greece. Okay? This is another 4.3 moderate earthquake. There are about 25 earthquakes here in Greece. 25 earthquakes in Greece. Okay? All over this area. And down here in the sea out here, in the ocean. All kinds of earthquakes here. There are all kinds of earthquakes still hitting Turkey. I want to tell you guys, over here where USGS is showing us one earthquake in eastern Turkey, there are about 150 earthquakes. This is a 4.4 aftershock of a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake that hit Turkey and Syria just a month or so ago. Because that was such a I shouldn't say magnificent, because it wasn't anything magnificent about it. It was a huge, major earthquake, a very shallow earthquake that damaged this whole area, and we will see earthquakes hitting here, aftershocks hitting here for a very, very long time. Years. Years. A lot of these earthquakes have died down now to minor earthquakes, 2.5s, 2.3s, 3.0s. But as you see here, this is another moderate earthquake. A 4.4 moderate earthquake here in eastern Turkey at the border of Syria today. We have earthquakes going down here into Israel and Palestine today. All over this area, we get earthquakes as a result of that earthquake in Turkey. Or I should say, those earthquakes in Turkey. We're seeing earthquakes down here in Iran and Iraq. Today they're not showing us any earthquakes over here in Afghanistan and Tajikistan. But guess what? There are plenty of earthquakes over in this area. They're not showing us any earthquakes here in the Himalayas. They're wrong. There are. Over here in Myanmar, Vietnam, Thailand, there are earthquakes here as well. They're not showing us, are they? They're not showing us hardly anything here in Indonesia. There are earthquakes here. Regardless of what this agency says, there are earthquakes. This agency says there are 258 earthquakes worldwide. I want to remind them that they are omitting about 800 earthquakes worldwide. There are actually close to 1,000 earthquakes. 1,000 earthquakes. They still don't want to tell the truth, and they never will. They never will. There's a reason why we call it USBS, and it is and always will be. Until they decide to revise their management staff, it's not the everyday USGS pencil pusher. It's management being told by politicians not to tell the truth. It is management personnel telling these agents, these other people, not to tell us the truth of what's going on. They never will until they get rid of their management. And who's telling management to not tell us the truth? It's politicians. Politicians. Now, let me show you something else. Okay? I've been aching to show you this. Literally aching to show you this. Let's go back to that USGS map again for a minute. Okay? Let's go back in, I'm sorry, I moved the map wrong that way. Let's go back here to the Pacific Northwest in California, and I will show you why that the agency does not want us to know what's going on. Okay? We'll just show you Washington, for instance. Yes, we're seeing some earthquakes at volcanoes here. Yes, volcanoes and some other tremors as well. Okay? It's not as bad as you would think. Okay? Yes, there are earthquakes at Mount Rainier. There are earthquakes at Mount St. Helens. There are earthquakes at Mount Hood that they're not telling us about. There are earthquakes at Glacier Peak. There's earthquakes at Baker. Earthquakes at Constitution. They're all shaking. They're all steaming. Because there's magma going to those volcanoes. But something else that the agency does not want you to know about. Okay? They want to continue to prosper tourism in this area, all over the west coast of North America. They want everybody to believe that nothing is going to happen. They continue putting towns together. They continue to putting beach towns together. They continue to build buildings here. Buildings all over the coastline. They want people to come here and pay good money to live in this area, up and down the entire coast. Yes, it's very beautiful here. I will hand it to them. It is very gorgeous here. Yes, people want to live here because they're not being told the truth. Just yesterday, I spoke to 2 individuals that lived in this area. Guess what, folks? They are not being told the truth either. Their city has not been told anything about the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. The city has not been told one single thing. Nothing. Not the city, not the police, not the fire department, not the paramedics, not anybody. Not anybody. Why not? This town right here is right next to one of the biggest fault zones ever. One of the biggest fault zones ever. The Cascadia subduction zone. Right across the street, literally right across the street from every town up and down the coast of southwestern Canada, Vancouver Island, Washington, Oregon, and California. You see houses and small businesses lining the beach areas. Small houses, larger houses, people that have a lot of money that occupy those larger homes. People that have a little bit of money put businesses here. None of them are being told about the Cascadia megathrust earthquake that's coming. We've talked about that last week. The scientists put out a warning. We showed you the information last week. They put out a warning that the Cascadia megathrust earthquake was coming more sooner than later. Scientists before believed it would be like 50 years away. Now they're saying it's more immediate. It could happen at any time. But no one here along the coast has been told about it. Why? Because, folks, there are politicians. There are state congressmen, state senators, there are city councilmen and mayors, federal congressmen and senators that live all up and down this entire area. They want to keep being employed, keep getting paid. As long as people live in this area and they are not told what's going on, the politicians are going to continue getting paid, aren't they? Folks, last year at this time, I talked about a town. Excuse me. Let me take a sip of water. I talked about a town last year where the developers had just bought up a bunch of land. And what did they do with it? They put condominiums up and down the beach areas. Condominiums all over the beach areas, guys. They were building businesses and residences, homes for people that had money there along the coastlines. Right across the street was the beach area. And right there on the other side of the street were warning signs for tsunamis. Warning signs for tsunamis. Why do you think that would happen? Can anybody tell me why there would be a tsunami warning sign? And I'm going to post a sign here in just a minute. I'm going to show you those signs because they do exist. They exist all over the place. Okay? I am appalled. Yes, appalled. That is a harsh word. I am always appalled at what I am seeing. I'm literally appalled at what I am seeing here. This is one such sign here. Tsunami hazard zone in case of earthquake, go to high ground or inland. It should not say or. Higher ground inland. As long as the politicians stay in power by people that live here and are employed along the coast areas, this will continue to happen. Building condominiums, building police and fire stations along the coast across the street from a tsunami hazard zone sign. They know dadgum well of what's gonna happen. They put up signs, but the salespeople have not been told anything else. Oh, it's okay to live here. Yes, there's a possibility there may be an earthquake at some time, the possibility there could be a small tsunami, but not to worry, it won't happen for a long time. Yes, folks, that's probably what they're being told because they continue to build here. They continue to build here and they don't see anything wrong with it. And as long as people continue to move there, as long as people continue to be employed there, they're paying taxes, aren't they? As long as they stay in power, the people pay taxes, these politicians will have jobs. The towns will continue to have stoplights, won't they? The towns will continue to operate. The streets will continue to be cleaned. The parks will continue to be able to be managed. What happens when that earthquake hits? there's going to be massive destruction up and down the entire coastline from Washington, actually from Canada, Washington, Oregon, and all the way down the coastline. And that Cascadia subduction zone, it will trigger the San Andreas Fault right here. And the seismic energy will continue south along the fault. Every town and city up and down the coast from Canada, possibly Alaska, south down here is going to get hit, including San Francisco Bay area. This whole area will be inundated with a major earthquake and a tsunami. A tsunami that will reach probably 20 miles inland. Can you say Cascadia earthquake? Can you say San Andreas earthquake times 3? You better call Dwayne Johnson. He might even know about it. He might even know how to react. And if he is indeed a helicopter pilot, he might help rescue people here. Not his daughter, but other people. And it's not just in San Andreas or in San Francisco either. Look at this, folks, over here in Walnut Creek, California. This is a good-sized city just east of the San Francisco Bay. It's part of the San Francisco Bay area. My cousins and aunt and uncle used to live in Walnut Creek. It's right between the Hayward Fault and the Calaveras. Two other very major earthquake faults here in California. Major earthquake faults in California. When the San Andreas hits, the Cascadia megathrust earthquake hits, and it triggers the San Andreas Fault, which runs just west of San Francisco Bay here. Do you think the Hayward and the Calaveras Fault will get triggered? Probably. Can you shake your head up and down? Yes, it will. Yes, it will. I hear you guys. I'm looking at the chat right now. Demon Cat Man says, every day the bucket goes down the well, one day the bottom is going to drop out. Demon Cat Man is right. Dean is right. That's exactly what's going to happen. The bottom is going to drop out. The money will no longer be there. And I could talk about financial things for a long, long time. And I probably will on Friday. If you guys will remind me, I'll talk about the bottom dropping out of the financial market on Friday. I hope it doesn't happen on Friday, but we'll talk about it on Friday. Because it is going to happen. That you can take to the bank. I hope you don't go to the bank. I hope you go to a credit union. Or keep your money where you know where it's safe. With you. With you. Okay? Now, the Cascadia fault zone triggers the San Andreas Fault, doesn't it? All the way down the coast area of California, doesn't it? Right past, just east of Monterey Bay here. Monterey Bay is a very, very populated area. Pacifica here. The town of Pacifica. Very, very populated area, and they have a lot of people with a lot of money. There's a beautiful golf course there where they have a major golf tournament there once a year. It'll be affected as well. This whole area. Right here, just southeast of Monterey Bay, we have another earthquake. This is called Tres Pinos. Tres Pinos. It's right along the San Andreas Fault. 2 years ago, there was a 5.1 earthquake here. The shaking broke a pipe at an oil refinery here and started a major fire here at, guess what time? Rush hour in the evening. Rush hour in the evening. There were a couple of people killed by that earthquake and a lot of damage around Tres Pinos, north, south, east, and west. Further south is the Pinnacles, where we have the next earthquake today. This is a 1.8 tremor. This one up in Tres Pinos today was a 2.9, 3.0 small earthquake. Anything 0.9 I'm going to raise up because USGS downgrades everything. This may have been even a larger small earthquake, 3.0, 3.2. Again, the agency cannot be trusted. The Pinnacles here area, this is an oil and gas area, and also it's on the fault area. There are oil and gas pumps in this area, and it's a fault area, isn't it? The major San Andreas Fault. This is a 1.8 tremor here. Now, we can go south, can't we? Over here, guess what this is? Can anybody guess what this is? We've had earthquakes here before. This is San Simeon. San Simeon. About 2 years ago, we had a 5.0 earthquake here. Guess what? Our buddy Sage Pup was down here. Sage Pup was here. He has his own stories of that earthquake. A 5 point, I think it was even larger, 5.1 earthquake in San Simeon. Today, we have a 1.2 here. This is not on the San Andreas Fault, it's on the Oceana Fault. The Oceana Fault, and it can be as dangerous as well. A 1.2 earthquake here. Now, back on the San Andreas Fault. We're passing a lot of real estate here. For example, right here. Right here. This is the San Andreas Fault. This is Parkfield, Utah. Not Utah, sorry. I don't know why I had Utah in the brain here. This is Parkfield, California. Earthquake capital of California. Guess what, guys? They have more earthquakes here in Parkfield than any other place in California. Okay? Guess what? There are going to be more earthquakes here as well. Going south, the San Andreas Fault continues south, doesn't it? It continues south right here, where it meets up with the Garlock Fault going northeast. The Garlock Fault going northeast. And the Garlock Fault goes up here into Ridgecrest and Trona, California. Why is this familiar? Because, folks, we had 2 6.9 earthquakes that may have even been larger than that. July 3rd, 4 years ago. This coming July 3rd, it will be 4 years ago. Alleged 6.9 earthquakes, 2 of them, hit Ridgecrest here. One of them USGS denied happening. As I've stated here before, they took one of them down and left the other up. I know for a fact that both earthquakes hit 2 separate and distinct earthquakes, 2 separate and distinct locations. 2 6.9 earthquakes happened in one day, within hours of each other. The third earthquake on July 4th, caused a 7.1 earthquake. A 7.1 earthquake hitting in Ridgecrest. The major damage was to the northeast in a town called Trona. Roadways all over this area were damaged, homes thrown off their foundations. There were a couple fires here. No one was killed because this earthquake happened out here in the middle of the desert. Ridgecrest maybe has a population of 25,000 people, out in the middle of the Mojave Desert. That's the only reason people were not killed. This earthquake was felt all the way over into Los Angeles. There was damage in Los Angeles from that earthquake. Damage up and down the fault. Before that 7.1 and before the 6.9 earthquakes hit, this whole area from San Diego, down here, all the way up here into Ridgecrest and beyond north, were filled with earthquakes and tremors. There were over 500,000 earthquakes and tremors throughout this area before and after the earthquakes. Before and after that earthquake. Tons of earthquakes and tremors all over this area. We reported on it. Now, over here, this just happened. This is a 0.7 microquake in Searles Valley, California. Just south of there, this is also in Searles Valley. This is a 2.1 earthquake, minor earthquake. North up here, we have another quake. This is in Little Lake, California. It's a 1.6 tremor. Aftershocks are still happening. They happen every day all the way through this area 4 years after 3 major earthquakes hit this area. 4 years after 3 major earthquakes hit this area, we still get earthquakes happening here. It hasn't stopped, has it? South of there, this is Wolford Heights, California. This is a 1.7 magnitude tremor. Guess what, folks? This is right next to a lake. But guess what, folks? This is also volcano territory. This is just west of Bodefish, California, right here. Bodefish, California, right here. Volcano territory, guys. This whole area is volcano territory. Down here again is the San Andreas Fault that's going to carry remnants of the Cascadia megathrust earthquake all the way down here. All the way down here into Southern California. Unreal, guys. Literally unreal. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen here? Can anybody tell me what you think is going to happen to all these businesses and all these homes throughout this area? What do you think is going to happen? What is this that I've just shown you right now? What do you think this is? This is a major oil field here just north of Los Angeles. A major oil field just north of Los Angeles. When we have good-sized earthquakes, what happens to these oil derricks? Oil pressure is reduced underground. Oil pressure is reduced underground. And that means usually there's an earthquake that's going to happen when the oil pressure at these pumps and jacks, the oil derricks, go down. Okay? This used to be covered in hillsides. It still is kind of hillsides. This area was covered by trees at one time. They bulldozed this area back in the 20s and 30s and put oil derricks up, pumps and jacks all over this area, and they pump this area out. Okay? They're pumping oil and gas out of this area. That's causing another seismic problem. Okay? Anytime you pump water and oil and gas out of the ground, what happens? The ground sinks, doesn't it? The ground sinks because those pockets of oil and gas that were there are now empty and the ground sinks. That's what happens. And this area is experiencing seismic energy here with the ground sinking. Now, right here, we have another earthquake here. This is in Corona, California. Corona, California. It's a small cache of earthquakes. Not quite a swarm, but a cache of earthquakes. This is a 1.4. This is a 2.3 magnitude earthquake, minor earthquake. This is a 1.4 as well. This over here further north is also 1.2 in Corona, California. What do you think is happening? See this fault zone right here? See this fault zone right here? That's what's happening. There's another fault zone here, isn't there? That's why that area is getting hit. Corona, California. Okay? Now, they're not talking about Los Angeles here, are they? They're not talking about the greater LA basin. They're not talking about Orange County as well either, are they? The only earthquakes they have here are in Corona. Nothing in Newport Beach, nothing in Walnut La Puente, nothing. Nothing in Los Angeles at all, are there? No, nothing. They're lying to us. There's probably 300 earthquakes and tremors all over this area. I've shown you seismograms that prove that. The nearest earthquake here is Wildomar, California, out here in the mountains. Well, guess what, guys? This is the Elsinore Fault. The Elsinore Fault just north and east of Wildomar caused that. This, folks, is Lake Elsinore. Lake Elsinore. It has no natural creeks or rivers or streams that flow into Lake Elsinore. The only reason that lake is still there is because there's runoff from rain and any snow in the mountains. That's all. In the summertime, because there's no outlet for this lake and nothing coming into it, there's a distinct odor, a distinct aroma coming from Lake Elsinore. And guess what, folks? For those of you that haven't been here, this they reverently and affectionately call Lake Smell-Snore. Yes, it stinks. stinks. Okay? But the Elsinore Fault is alive and well, isn't it? Even down here in Wildemar. Okay? But we don't see any earthquakes over in LA, do we? Because they don't want us to know about it. Again, the politicians don't want us to know about it. The nearest earthquakes are up here. Banning, California. San Jacinto, California. Guess what? Do you know why they call it San Jacinto, California? Because, folks, there is a good-sized mountain here. San Jacinto Mountain. I've climbed it. I know all about it. And right next to it is San Gregorio Mountain. I've climbed that as well. Okay? But San Jacinto, the San Jacinto Fault. We have a 0.8 minor movement here, a microquake. And you can see how that fault zone moves south here. You see the San Jacinto Fault here, right here. We have in Idlewild, California. This is a wonderful town, guys. Idlewild, California probably still has snow in the San Bernardino Mountains. They ought to pay me for giving them commercials. There's beautiful cabins in the Idlewild area. Idlewild is a small town in the San Bernardino Mountains with great restaurants, cabins to stay in, and in the wintertime skiing in that area, and great shops to buy trinkets from. Great shops all over town. It's a great town to go into and spend a weekend in. South of there, this is the Anza Gap. Anything from Banning south is considered the Anza Gap, including Idlewild, California. This is a 1.2 tremor. This is a 1.1 tremor. They call this Idlewild because it's 11 kilometers south of Idlewild, about 9 miles south of Idlewild. Okay? South of that is also the Anza Gap area. Why do they call it that? Because it's affiliated with the Anza Borrego Desert. The Anza Borrego Desert. Guess what we're coming to? The Anza Borrego Desert State Park in northeast San Diego County. Northeast San Diego County. This is also Anza Gap here, a 0.5 in the Anza Borrego Desert area. Okay? Further south here, the top of the Chocolate Mountains. This is Borrego Springs, also part of the Anza Borrego Desert State Park here in California, northeastern San Diego County. Okay? An earthquake here, south and west, also considered to be near Borrego Springs. This is 9 miles southwest of Borrego Springs, a 0.8 microquake. 0.8 microquake. Yes, there's earthquakes here in San Diego County as well. They're not showing them anything on them, do they? Because they don't want anybody to know. I get my information about San Diego quakes from Scripps Institute of Oceanography. They have a seismograph there at Scripps, near just east of Scripps Pier. This earthquake right here, guess where it's at? This is off the coast of La Jolla. Off the coast of La Jolla. This is a 1.0 tremor off the coast of La Jolla, California. 16 miles off the coast of La Jolla, California. La Jolla is beautiful, guys. I've been there. I love La Jolla. This is Mission Bay right here. Mission Bay right here. And actually, La Jolla is further north from Mission Bay. Okay? This area is La Jolla here. This area right here is La Jolla Cove. La Jolla Cove. Yes, we have minor tremors here as well. Okay? Minor tremors all over this area. Okay? Now, I can't get any closer than this. But see that kind of circle here? See that kind of circle that goes in a circle around La Jolla there and drops further south? That's La Jolla Village Drive. La Jolla Village Drive. About halfway down La Jolla Village Drive is the Scripps Pier. The Scripps Pier. Black's Beach. Remember Black's Beach just a few weeks back? Where a bunch of undocumented migrants tried to take their undocumented boat and ditch it at Black's Beach during a major storm where 8 people were killed? That's Black's Beach. Right here. See where that water is off of Black's Beach here? That's Black's Beach. Great surfing area. Great surfing area. Earthquakes all over San Diego County. That's Mission Bay and Mission Bay Park. SeaWorld is over here too. Did you know that? SeaWorld. It's about right there. SeaWorld, California. One of the places that I used to go boating on, to go out to sea on fishing voyages on, Islandia Tours, right here, launched a boat, we went fishing on. Broke Fish says mooring. It's good to see you, Daryl. Welcome. Anyway, over here, this great big huge, what appears to be a undocumented island here, it's not really an island, it's right here. There's a roadway leading onto this island. This is called Fiesta Island. Fiesta Island. They have a so-called baseball tournament here every year here on Fiesta Island. I have even played in that baseball tournament. It's not really baseball though. It's a special kind of baseball. Okay? I'm just giving you a tour of San Diego because I've been there. This area down here is San Diego Bay. San Diego Bay. Okay? Down here is Naval Station San Diego. Naval Station San Diego. Okay? A couple years ago, we had a great big ship here, docked here at Pier 2 at Naval Station San Diego. Well, guess what happened? Somebody lit a fire on that ship and destroyed the ship. We reported on that as well. See that building just east of that pier? That is Naval Station Base Theater. The Base Theater. See this building just barely east of that? That is the police station where I used to work. That is the police station where I used to work. The police station now doesn't exist. It's further into downtown San Diego. They moved it further into downtown San Diego. But I'm just telling you this, why? I want to show you what is going to happen. There's going to be a tremendous earthquake all up and down the coast of Washington, Oregon, and California, all the way down here into San Diego and down here into northern Mexico. Into northern Mexico. A major earthquake's going to happen. We're talking about it. Now, I told you last night all about the Salton Sea. On the eastern side of the Salton Sea is where the San Andreas Fault runs. It goes underneath the Salton Sea on the eastern side here. You see the line that goes underneath the Salton Sea over here on the east side? That's Bombay Beach, where we've seen 3.5 to 4-point earthquakes happen. 4.0, even 4.5 earthquakes happen here at Bombay Beach. Okay? Yesterday I told you about a town called Nyland, California, right here. Right next to it, Calipatria, California, where we have a seismograph also that shows usually anywhere from 100 to 150 earthquakes on it every day. Guess what, folks? We just barely had another earthquake here in Calipatria. This is a 1.4 tremor here in Calipatria. A 1.4 earthquake here in Calipatria, and it's not the only one. They don't show them here because they don't want to tell us. I have friends down here. I have friends down here. Over here in Westmoreland, I have friends. One of whom just died recently because of CV. She and her husband lived here. He still lives here. Close friends, guys. His wife spoke on our show 2 years ago and told us about earthquakes that were happening here that USGS did not report. They happen here all the time. Luckily, USGS is reporting this 1.4 tremor here. Lucky them, because they're definitely not showing anything else. That San Andreas Fault area is going to affect all of Imperial County, and it's going to affect San Diego County here as well. It's going to wreak havoc with this whole area. I talked about politicians, guys. Politicians don't care about any one of us. They couldn't give one hoot and holler about any of us. Okay? Now, with that said, I want to just briefly talk about what I need you to do to save your lives. Anybody up and down this entire fault line, and I'm talking from Alaska south. Anybody up and down this fault line from Alaska south, you folks need to write an emergency preparedness plan. You need to write an emergency preparedness plan. This earthquake could happen at any time. A 9.0 to a 10.0 earthquake. You saw what happened over in Turkey and Syria. It's going to happen here, up and down this entire fault line. We've given you the statistics. We've talked to Chris Goldfinger. He talked about the Cascadia megathrust earthquake triggering the San Andreas Fault and what could be expected. He gave a seminar 2 years ago about it, and now scientists are saying that this earthquake could happen at any time. Every resident up and down the area from Alaska south into northern Mexico should be writing an emergency preparedness plan of how you are going to deal with the earthquake or any other emergency that happens in your life. How you're going to get through it, what you're going to do, and how you're going to get out of it after the emergency ends. Because, folks, after the emergency, there is recovery work to do. And when it happens, when this earthquake happens, I hope to be on the air still talking about it and how you guys can recover your lives. How you guys can recover your lives and your livelihood. How you can continue to survive. If you still have electricity. If you still have internet. If. Because all that is going to be destroyed in that earthquake. All of it's going to be destroyed. Folks, it's up to you to get something done. It's up to you to try to save your lives, and that's why we're talking about this here today. I wanted to emphasize the entire coastline today because it's going to affect everybody. I spent particular time showing you the entire fault line system, showing you the cities and towns that it's going to affect. Everybody. Everybody. Michael McKinney was talking about what's happening in Los Angeles. Lawlessness. Absolutely right. Early this morning, I saw another police chase in Los Angeles. Yesterday, somebody killed somebody else. Somebody that killed someone took a car and ran around Los Angeles like a banshee, all over the place. LAPD, Downey Police, and other agencies got into it with the suspect. They nearly killed the suspect. Guess what? The same scenario happened 2 years ago. Lawlessness in Los Angeles. It's not stopping. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. Mary McHenry says intentional failure. I totally agree. The politicians have no intention on helping anyone. If the scientists hadn't put out the advisory, none of us would be talking about this. Not the news stations, not nobody. The politicians don't care. USGS doesn't care. Pacific Northwest Seismic Network, run by the University of Washington, doesn't care. Nobody. Wolfman says, I would not want to be in Portland, Oregon during that quake. I wouldn't want to either. Lawlessness is almost as bad in Portland as it is in Los Angeles because of politicians. Oh, it's okay to kill people. It's okay to rob people. It's okay to burn somebody's business down. Yeah, that's what Antifa was doing. And the Portland City Council was giving them permission by not doing anything and telling the district attorneys not to do anything to the lawbreakers and tell the police officers to go to heck. I have friends with Portland police. You know how disheartening it is to work for a police department where nobody cares about you, nobody cares about your well-being, where people get shot there, get hurt there, and are told not to do their job because it's too dangerous and Antifa will hurt and kill them? Yeah, folks, that happens, and it has happened. It's going to get worse. Diana Lars says not only do they not care about it, but they are flat broke because they have spent the money. They've defunded the police and spent the money. They don't care. Kimberly Hopkins, that should be criminal, she said. Oh yeah, absolutely. By the way, Kim, thank you for your donation we got yesterday from PayPal. We really appreciate it. God bless you for that. God bless you for that. Folks, this is criminal, what's going on. Everyone should be talking about that quake. It is about to happen. I'm not trying to hype it. I'm trying to tell about it because we want to save lives here. We want to get people prepared. I'm going to continue in future episodes of this program talking about emergency preparedness planning. I'm not going to stop. And after we get through talking about emergency preparedness planning, I'm going to continue to talk about survival kits, emergency preparedness survival kits. I'm going to talk about food storage. I'm going to continue to talk about water storage. I'm going to continue to talk about equipment that you may need. I'm going to talk about it all because we are going to save lives here. That is the whole thing, the reason that we are here. Our mantra, if you will, to save lives. If we don't talk about it, nobody will. And nobody is. That is the whole crux of the matter. Nobody is talking about it. And as a result, people are getting hurt, even now. Even now. Ruth St. John says, we need to get on our knees, and she is exactly right. Rob has told me the same thing. Rob and I are Christians. Most of you are also Christians. I love each and every one of you. Please, folks, please share this program far and wide. We need to save lives. We need to share this program with everybody that we know. Tell your friends and your neighbors what we talk about, what we discuss. Tell them and show them that we talk about earthquakes, that we talk about preparedness, that we talk about other things that happen, floods, tornadoes, hurricanes, fires, shootings, explosions, because we want to save people's lives. Several years ago, I got a call after a tornado hit, asking me, Ron, can you and your friends? Yes, we spent time doing disaster drills. A lot of people know me. A lot of people know my friends. They asked us if we could call doctors and nurses to go over to Missouri. A hospital had been destroyed in Missouri. And they needed doctors and nurses to help care for patients and people that had been hurt and killed in Missouri. Joplin, Missouri. And yes, I sent a lot of doctors and nurses from Salt Lake City, from San Francisco, from San Diego, and Denver to Joplin, Missouri. Folks, we've done it all. We've talked about it on the program. I don't stop. I've been in 39 states doing disaster drills and talking to people about what's going on and trying to help people so they can recover their communities after disasters hit. That's why I am here today. That's why I'm here today. Please tell all your friends, your relatives, the people you work with, your neighbors, the people you associate on social media. Tell them about this program. They need to know this. They are also being affected. We talked about cyclones in Australia, cyclones in New Zealand, cyclones that have hit Indonesia and the Philippines and Taiwan and Japan. I want everybody to know what is going on. That's why we do what we do. And we're not going to stop. This, folks, is the kickoff time. This might be 4th and goal with nowhere else to go. We might have the final kickoff. It's up to us. It's up to us to do our jobs. It's up to us to save our friends and save humanity. To save our friends and save humanity. Brokefish is on here in the chat. Says, Ron, I've been told no bridge or power system will be safe here in Oregon west of the Cascades. You're right, Daryl. You're absolutely right. He says, I like giving to food banks and other groups to help brothers and sisters in need. John 3:16. Absolutely, Daryl. Absolutely. Rob says, John 3:16. Daryl says it will be weeks before help arrives. 3 weeks before food is available. And Daryl, it's going to be a lot longer than that. It could be months before food and help will arrive, because bridges and roads will be destroyed. Only 4-wheel drive vehicles and helicopters and planes will be able to send food out to the communities. That's what's going to happen. Government is not going to be there. FEMA won't be there because they won't be able to get there. All of us are going to be on our own. That's a real stickler. Just a few short years ago, FEMA used to say, oh, you just need to have a 72-hour preparedness kit. Yeah, they said that. And you know something? Let me tell you a quick story before I leave here tonight. I'm an emergency manager. I get notices from FEMA and from the government, even today. Back then, they were telling people to have 72-hour kits. They were asking everybody in the emergency management community around the United States. They were asking the emergency managers around the United States, do you have a 72-hour kit? They were telling the managers, the emergency managers all over the country, that we needed to tell the communities that every citizen needed a 20 or 72-hour kit. So FEMA sent a survey to emergency managers around the United States. Does anybody realize what happened with that survey? Do you know what happened with that survey? A month later, FEMA published the results of their survey. Do you know what those results were? Only 25% of emergency managers had 72-hour kits. The same people that were saddled with responsibility by FEMA to put out the word for everybody to have a 72-hour kit, only 25% of emergency managers had those self-same 72-hour kits. And I want to say it's probably a lot less, because there are people that lie. They may have a few things here and there. They may have a few things in their house, but they have not assembled a 72-hour kit like I have done and like I am urging everybody else to do. But I've taken it a step further because I know darn well what is going to happen this year and what's going to happen every other year after that. We are expecting a major earthquake to hit that's going to affect the entire coast of North America. We're going to get floods, rains causing floods. We're going to get fires like we always do every year. We're going to see tornadoes like has happened all the way through from last year. It really hasn't stopped in the southern United States, the southeastern United States, from Texas east or Oklahoma east. Tornado season's almost 365. I'm sorry, I've been talking a lot. This is go time. This is go time. It's just not 72-hour kits anymore. It's 6-month kits. It's 1 year emergency supply kits. Or 1 year of food storage. I don't think we have 1 year until a major disaster happens. It could be a few weeks, it could be a few months, but it's coming. It could be a few weeks. We're going to have tornadoes. We're going to have fires. Fires have already started. It's happening, guys. It's happening. It's time to get on the stick and get yourselves prepared. I'm not harping on any one individual. I'm not harping on anybody. I'm trying to help you. Please don't seem like I am yelling at you, because I am not. I want everybody to pay attention. I want everybody to be prepared. That's where this is going. Be prepared. Be aware of everything and everyone around you. Be aware of everything and everyone around you. Okay? Garrison, tell us it's good to see you here. Thank you for being here, Garrison. We appreciate it. We appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Now, before I sign off, I want to leave you with a thought, as I have been doing for quite some time here. Okay? My thought tonight comes from Colossians. From Colossians. It comes from a lot of other places besides that. And by the way, guys, either tonight or tomorrow, there will be a 660-pound satellite that's going to drop out of orbit and de-orbit. The 660-pound satellite is probably going to de-orbit into the Pacific Ocean either tonight or tomorrow. Okay? I just got that found out about today from NASA. Okay? It's unknown where the debris is going to land, but it's somewhere in the Pacific. Okay? The reentry window is plus or minus 16 hours, according to NASA. And there's really no confirmed reentry path yet. Okay? NASA's and the Defense Department is supposed to put out and provide us with updated assessments as it comes out. Okay, now, with that said, folks, there's only a 1 in 2,467 chance of someone getting harmed by this satellite. It's supposed to deorbit into the Pacific. Only a 1 in 2,467 chance of someone getting hit. It was launched in 2002. So 21 years later, it's coming down. Okay? Anyway, I want to give you this thought. Okay? Please, folks, please listen. No, this is not Chinese junk. This is one of the NASA satellites. Blackberg is asking, is it Chinese junk? No, it's a NASA satellite. Okay? Please, folks, let me share this information with you. True belonging doesn't come from changing your values. It doesn't come from your behaviors in an effort to fit in. It comes from embracing your divine identity as a child of God and choosing where you belong. John Pennegree Jr. said, "When we make and strive to keep sacred covenants with God, we begin to experience a sense of belonging greater than can be achieved through an affiliation with any earthly or temporal group. To truly gain a joyful and enduring sense of identity and belonging, I want to extend these 3 invitations to you all. 1. Prioritize your divine identity as daughters and sons of God. 2. Accept Jesus Christ as your Savior and place your discipleship to Him above other considerations. 3. Engage in God's work by helping others come unto Christ and gain eternal life. I extend these invitations so they can help us gain a joyful and enduring sense of identity and belonging, and they can enable us to reach our divine potential here on earth and into the eternities. Again, I invite each and every one of us and every one of your families, every one of your children and extended families, your friends, your neighbors, everyone. I invite you to all prioritize your divine identity as daughters and sons of God. This means we base our self-worth on divine parentage. We seek to build our relationship with God through prayer and scripture study, Sabbath day observance and worship. Any other activity that brings the Holy Spirit into our lives and strengthens our connections to Him, we let God prevail in our lives. 2. I invite everyone to accept Jesus Christ as our Savior and to place our discipleship to Him above other considerations. This means that we take His name upon us and that we desire to be known as His followers. We seek to access His forgiveness and His strength daily. We make covenants and keep them. We strive to become like him. Last but not least, I invite all of us to engage in God's work by helping others come unto Christ and gain eternal life. This means we help others see their divine identity. Not only our identity, but we help others to see their own divine identity and feel a sense of belonging. We openly share the joy we find in Jesus Christ and his gospel. We strive to help others make and keep sacred covenants with God. We seek God's guidance to know who we can bless and see how to do so. We ask God's guidance to see who we can talk to, who we might be able to speak with, who we might be able to open our mouths with. And when we open our mouths, we will be filled with the Holy Ghost so that we might be able to share the gospel of Jesus Christ to those that we care about. In closing, I promise that as we prioritize our relationship with God and our discipleship to Jesus Christ, we will find our joy. We will find our joy in our divine identity, and we will gain an eternal, enduring sense of belonging. And ultimately, we will reach our divine potential. The Lord has more in mind for you than you have in mind for yourself. As you love him, and as we keep his commandments, great rewards, even unimaginable achievements, may be yours. Great rewards, unimaginable achievements may be yours. Keeping the commandments, keeping covenants that we make with God, obeying God, brothers and sisters. That's what we're talking about. I will continue this conversation tomorrow and quote the scripture in Colossians and tell you what I believe, because we can do it. We are God's children here on this earth. We are asked by God, before we even left the spirit world, to come down to earth and do those things that we can while we're here on this earth, to help the Savior bring everyone back to God's kingdom. I have a testimony of that. I know it to be true. I stand here today as God's witness to all of you. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time, same bat station. Sometime after 6 p.m. tomorrow evening, to talk again about Cascadia, to talk about emergency preparedness, to talk about God. May God be with you. May God bless you and take care of you. May God help us to prepare for what is going to happen. May God be with you this day and always. May God be with you till we meet again. We will see you on the other side. Good night, everybody. Much love.